The medieval sunset. Hey guys, tonight we watched the sun sink slowly behind the thatched roofs of a quiet medieval village, the kind of sunset that doesn't explode in color but fades gently, like a candle being pinched between careful fingers. You stand at the edge of a narrow dirt path, boots dusty from the day, and feel the warmth slipping away with the light. The fields are almost empty now. A few late workers gather tools, shoulders tired, movements slower than they were this morning. The air cools just enough to remind you that night belongs to a different rhythm entirely. You take a breath and realize that without modern lights, locked doors and central heating, you probably won't survive this. Don't worry. That's just your inner drama talking, mostly. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're settling in, comment below with your location and the local time where you are right now. It's always fascinating to see who else is stepping into the medieval night with us. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The practicality of twilight. You don't rush. Nobody rushes now. In medieval villages, sunset isn't just pretty, it's practical. Once daylight fades, productive outdoor work becomes difficult and often dangerous. One mainstream historical fact helps anchor this moment. Before widespread artificial lighting, most medieval communities structured their entire day around natural light, rising at dawn and winding down soon after dusk, especially in rural areas. Time itself feels softer here, measured not by clocks but by shadows stretching across fields. You watch as a farmer lifts a wooden hoe onto his shoulder and starts toward home. His tunic, dyed a faded russet, is patched at the elbows. A woman follows behind with a wicker basket filled with root vegetables, turnips, perhaps a few onions. There is no frantic hurry. The day has done what it can. The rest must wait. You turn toward the cluster of cottages. Smoke curls lazily from a few chimneys, drifting sideways in the cooling air. Somewhere a cow lows softly. Children's voices echo briefly and then hush as they're called indoors. The village doesn't fall silent all at once. It exhales. As you walk, you notice something subtle. Doors remain open just a little longer than you expect. Neighbors exchange final words. A borrowed tool is returned. A reminder about tomorrow's shared work is mentioned casually. Evening is not isolation. It is transition. The rhythms of rest. Scholars still argue whether medieval peasants experienced a strict two-sleep pattern, sleeping for several hours, waking around midnight for quiet activity, then returning to sleep before dawn, or whether that pattern was less universal than once believed. Standing here, watching the slow preparations, you can imagine either possibility. Night feels long. There is space in it. You step aside as a boy carefully leads two goats toward a small wooden shed attached to his family's cottage. Animals matter more than comfort. They are wealth, survival, food, labor. In colder months, some livestock may even share indoor space with the family to preserve warmth. It isn't glamorous. It is practical. The faint smell of hay and animal breath lingers in the air. A quirky detail often overlooked. In some villages, people believed twilight was a vulnerable time when spirits or wandering forces were more active. Whether rooted in folklore or simple caution about darkness, this belief encouraged people to gather indoors promptly. You might not see ghosts drifting through the fields, but you do notice how quickly laughter fades once the sun slips below the horizon. Inside the hearth, inside one cottage, firelight flickers against thick stone walls. You pause outside the doorway. A pot hangs over the hearth. Someone stirs it slowly with a wooden spoon. Dinner is simple. Bread, pottage, perhaps a bit of salted meat if fortune has been kind. There is no elaborate menu, no variety for variety's sake. Meals are repetition. Repetition is safety. You duck your head slightly and step inside. The shift from outside to inside is immediate but gentle. The room is dim, illuminated mostly by the hearth and a small tallow candle set in an iron holder. The flame dances, casting long shadows that stretch across the low ceiling beams. Smoke rises upward before slipping out through a narrow vent. Your eyes adjust. Around the fire, family members sit on wooden stools or low benches. A woman mends a tear in a wool cloak, her fingers steady despite the fading light. A child leans against a parent's side, already sleepy. Conversation is soft, nothing dramatic, Nothing urgent. You notice how compact the space feels. Thick walls keep drafts away, but they also hold in scent and sound. The crackle of the fire becomes the room's heartbeat. Every now and then, someone feeds it another small piece of wood, careful not to waste fuel. Firewood must last the night. The weight of the night. You sit down near the warmth, feeling it slowly seep through your clothes. The fatigue of the day catches up to you, but it isn't unpleasant. It's earned. Outside, the sky darkens fully. Stars appear in sharp clusters. Without city lights, the heavens feel closer, almost intrusive. Another historical truth slips quietly into your awareness. Candles and oil lamps were expensive, especially for poorer households, so most families minimized their use. Darkness wasn't an inconvenience. It was a fact of life. The fire provided light as much as heat. Once it burned low, the room would follow. A wooden shutter is pulled closed over the tiny window. The latch clicks softly into place. The world outside is now distant, reduced to muffled wind and the occasional bark of a far-off dog. Inside, warmth and family define reality. You lean back slightly, listening. The day has narrowed to this. Shared food, shared fire, shared presence. No screens glowing, no engines humming. Just the steady rhythm of breathing and flame. As the conversation fades into comfortable silence, you realize that medieval nights are not dramatic affairs. They are deliberate, slow, protective. The work of survival pauses, but it never entirely stops. The fire pops once, sending a brief spark upward. You draw your cloak a little closer and feel the first gentle pull of sleep approaching, not as an escape, but as part of the cycle. Sunset to rest, rest to dawn, dawn to labor again. And outside, the village settles into silence, one cottage at a time.